controversy has erupted in the United States over anti-Semitic comments by some African-American celebrities, including the pro football player Deshaun Jackson, rapper Ice Cube, and TV host Nick Cannon. Now, a similar sort of case has erupted in the United Kingdom over a social media post there made by Richard Cowie Jr., who's better known as the rapper Wiley. Now, among these posts, quote, if you work for a company owned by two Jewish men and you challenge the Jewish community in any way, of course you will get fired. In fact, there are two sets of people who nobody has really wanted to challenge, hashtag Jewish and hashtag KKK, but being in business for 20 years, you start to understand. Listen to me, Jewish community. Israel is not your country. I'm sorry. Can't quite figure out that last one. Well, joining us now, maybe to help us figure it out, is our UK correspondent, Jonathan Sacerdoti from London. And Jonathan, give us some background about who this rap artist Wiley is and why he might be making these kind of comments.
Well, today, British Home Secretary Priti Patel commented on the torrent of abuse that was published on Twitter and Instagram by Richard Cowie, a British rapper and songwriter known by his stage name Wiley. And she wrote that the anti-Semitic posts from Wiley are abhorrent. They should not have been able to remain on Twitter and Instagram for so long. And she wrote, I've asked them for a full explanation. Social media companies must act fast to remove such appalling hatred from their platforms. Among the things that he wrote, as you said there, were suggestions that black people and Jews should be at war. He said, black people, this is a war, sadly, sorry. He declared that his statements against Jewish people are not anti-Semitic, but he's just what he called slippery people. And he likened Jewish people to the Ku Klux Klan, saying rednecks are the KKK and Jewish people are the law. Work that out. A lot of it was a bit unhinged and quite hard to figure out, but it alluded to also theories of Israel not belonging to the Jewish people, but instead to a lost tribe of black people from Africa. And again, plenty of other typical anti-Semitic tropes, including comments about diamonds and gold and money. It all seems to have stemmed from an argument he might have had with his former manager now, who's dropped him after this incident, who is a Jewish man himself. But it's certainly unclear as to whether that was the cause or whether he's just taking some of this out as well on the Jewish religion and ethnicity of his former manager. Either way, it's caused an awful lot of upset, not least because he's a high-profile figure with 500,000 followers on these platforms, but because it took so long for Instagram and for Twitter to actually block his account while it was spewing out this sort of abuse for hours on end. It went on well over 24 hours, possibly even as much as 48 hours. And as soon as he was kicked off Twitter temporarily, he moved on to Instagram and started making videos abusing Jewish people. There are calls now as well for his MBE to be removed. That's an honor that can be granted to British people who achieve highly in their field, and it's given by the Queen. There's a forfeiture committee with lots of people writing to them asking for his to be forfeited because he has brought into disrepute the British honours system. Well, I want you to say lots of people. What kind of reaction has there been? You mentioned the official reaction, but there, for example, in the entertainment or the arts industry to this kind of outburst? Well, I think it's pretty fair to say that most people have spoken out, who have spoken out about this, have spoken out against what he's saying. It's not nuanced or sophisticated analysis about geopolitics involving Israel, for example, nor could it even pretend to be. It is really the sort of ramblings and spewings of somebody who doesn't really make a very clear point themselves, except that they are deeply anti-Semitic. And so there's little doubt there that that seems to be motivating it. But what's alarming about this, of course, is, as usual in these sorts of incidences, there are plenty of people speaking out in support of him. And I think that's one of the things that's troubling people in general about the sort of anti-Semitic abuse that takes place online on these social media platforms like Twitter and Instagram. Because when somebody with a high-profile following, somebody who's a role model like this, starts to make these anti-Semitic comments in a very racially charged moment, there are others who will join them, making life difficult for Jewish users too. Certainly there are, and he seems to have joined perhaps or following some of those celebrities that I mentioned, unfortunately, in the United States. Jonathan Sacerdoti there in London, thank you for that.